Hey, how's it going guys? Phil here, and this is a review for the Shardor Anti-Static Conical Burr Coffee Grinder. I'd like to thank Shardor for sending me this complimentary unit to try out, and don't miss the limited time coupon code in the description below, so you can save on your purchase. You'll receive the coffee grinder and an instruction manual. When fully assembled, the unit measures 11 inches tall, 5 inches wide, and 8 inches deep. It weighs about 4.5 pounds without any beans in it. The grinder consists of 3 main parts: the removable coffee grounds container, the hopper on top, which can be unlocked by turning it counterclockwise, then lifting straight up, and the main body of the unit. The hopper has a clear plastic body and drop-in lid. On the underside of the lid, you'll find a 1 tablespoon coffee scoop and cleaning brush neatly stored and attached with clips, though they can be a little tricky to line up and put back in. In the middle of the hopper is a guide cone, which directs the beans on top towards the walls of the hopper, which are then funneled down into the center of the burr grinder. Note, along the bottom ring, there is a narrow lock tab and a wide lock tab on the opposite side for proper alignment and installation on the main body. The lid simply drops back into place and does not lock or snap in tightly. This is the grounds collection cup. It is dark but translucent, so you can see the contents without exposing your grounds to too much light, which can degrade quality and flavor over time. The lid is made of a hard black plastic, but the plug in the middle is silicone rubber to prevent oxidation and spoilage of your freshly ground coffee. The lid simply pops off with a slight tug and is not completely airtight, so you won't want to store your grounds in here for long periods of time. The interior of the cup is anti-static, making it easier to clean since the grounds won't cling to it. There's a max fill line on the container, which is marked at about 1.5 cups by volume. When replacing the lid, it snaps back on. This is the main body of the grinder. It is made of a lightweight black plastic with silver chrome trim. It has a 2-pronged 3-foot long attached power cord. On top, you'll find the Conical burr grinder, which has 2 portions. The upper burr teeth can be removed for cleaning, and this is the Conical burr. When replacing the upper teeth, be sure to align the dot with the line here at the back of the machine. To install the bean hopper, align the line at the back of the machine with the narrow locking tab on the neck of the hopper. When aligned properly, the small arrow on the hopper will line up with the unlock symbol on the right-hand side of the machine. Then, gently turn the arrow towards the front of the machine to select a grind size. You'll notice gradations for grind size marked 1 through 35 around the base of the hopper, and these sections are labeled for appropriate brewing style suited for the size of the grains, from very coarse grounds for French press, medium grounds for drip or pour-over coffee, and fine grounds for espresso. In front of the hopper, the button with the power symbol starts operation of the machine, and the silver dial points to the dosage or quantity of grounds you want to end up with, provided you have enough beans in the hopper. These are set in increments of 2, ostensibly to tell you how many cups of coffee you can make with the resulting grounds, though it's more of an approximation of quantity based on a set amount of time the grinder runs for. When set to off, the grinder will not run if the power button is pressed. The silicone flap on the grounds container should be open when placing under the grind head, so that the grounds can drop right into it without removing the lid, helping to prevent grounds from getting everywhere. Note that with the rubber flap closed, the container can still fit under the grind head for storage, but it's a pretty tight fit, and stray grounds may deposit on top of the lid after use. But I don't recommend this because it's easy to forget to open the flap before your next grind, and that could end in a big mess. Before first use, I would recommend washing all the plastic parts of the hopper and grounds cup in warm soapy water. Alright, let's go ahead and try grinding some coffee beans. First, place the collection cup with the rubber flap open under the grind head. Then pour some roasted coffee beans into the hopper. I don't usually make a lot of coffee at once, so I'm only using half a cup, but note that the max capacity of the hopper is about 1.5 cup of beans. I'm going to set the dose dial to 2, the lowest setting. I'll put the cover on the hopper and set the grind size to the middle, around the 18 setting. Now I just have to press the power button. The grinder is a bit loud, almost like running a blender, which isn't surprising given the power of the motor and the fact that it's crushing hard beans. The beans automatically drop into the grinding chamber as they are used up. The 2-dose setting runs for about 18 seconds, and here's how much grounds I ended up with. About a quarter cup. Even though these are freshly ground beans, there's not a lot of coffee dust sticking to the sides of the container. Since this grind size is suitable for drip coffee, let's compare them to my store-bought pre-ground coffee. Taking a closer look, the grind size seems pretty good, with a fairly even and uniform consistency. The store-bought grounds are slightly finer, but overall they are pretty close. With that in mind, let's brew up a couple cups and see how it tastes. Now I used all the grounds that the machine produced, which is supposed to make 2 cups of coffee. So I've brewed it with 2 cups of water. I can already tell that it looks a little bit light for a medium roast, but let's add some milk and sugar since that's how I like my coffee. And that's a pretty decent cup of coffee. It's not super bold, but still rich and punchy. I think next time I'd go for a little finer, maybe with a 15 grind size to extract more richness and flavor from the beans. It's all down to your personal taste though, and results will vary based on your beans, how much water you brew with, and your coffee maker. If you didn't use all your grounds, you can cover and store them for a couple days. But if storing them for longer, you should consider storing them in an airtight container. If there's any coffee dust in the cup, it's easily wiped out with a dry cloth. Before changing grind size, for example from drip coffee to espresso, it's a good practice to empty out the grind chamber first by running it until no more grounds come out. This will prevent you from having inconsistently sized grounds, which could be problematic for some coffee makers. Okay, let's try a 2-dose grind at the 1 setting for espresso. Again, the machine will run for about 18 seconds. This time, because the grounds are finer, it produces less overall volume, as fewer beans are ground down over the same amount of time. Let's compare the grind size of the espresso powder versus a store-bought espresso powder. Right away, you can tell the difference between the espresso grounds and the drip coffee grounds. These grounds are almost as fine as sawdust. Again, it's very uniform, and I don't see any big chunks in the grounds. But at this coarseness level, might be a little too fine for my espresso machine, and would probably be better suited for Turkish brew. Compared to the store-bought grounds, these appear to be a little larger, so we'll see if my espresso machine can handle it. Despite using the 2-cup setting though, I actually only ended up with 12 grams of powder, which is only enough for a single espresso shot. So I did a second grind so I can put 18 grams into my portafilter for a double shot. After distributing the powder and tamping, it was clear to me that the grounds were too fine as they compressed a lot. And when I went to pull the shot, the tightly packed grounds didn't allow enough water to pass through for a decent shot. So I tried again with the grinder set to 6. And these grounds look a lot closer to the size and texture of the store-bought grounds. That's way better, and the pull timing was just about spot on. I've added a little bit of steamed milk and foam to make it a cappuccino. So bottoms up. And that's just about as good as any restaurant or coffee shop cappuccino. I'll show you one more grind at 35, the coarsest setting. And here, a 2-dose grind resulted in about 1 ounce or 28 grams of grounds. That's more than twice the volume at the lowest setting in the same amount of time. Here you can see there's a lot more variation in the grind size, but the grounds are fairly coarse, so if you like French press, it should work well for that. After several uses, you may also want to clean out the grinding chamber to prevent clogging. With the machine unplugged, remove the upper burr teeth, then use the included brush to sweep any stray grounds into the center so that they drop through the opening underneath. You can also wipe the interior with a dry, clean cloth, but avoid using soap or water inside the machine. Overall, I really like this coffee grinder. You can grind your favorite beans to suit multiple brewing styles with consistent, even results and uniform grind size, from extra fine to extra coarse. Whether you're making coffee in the morning or pulling espresso shots, you can easily adjust the machine to find the perfect size grind for your brewing method. I hope you enjoyed this review. You can ask me any questions in the comments. I'll put a link to the product in the description below. Remember to enter my exclusive coupon code at checkout for some savings. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and join me next time.